Where was this?
We did that at Busy. There was a terrible omission of Professor Amos.
I'm happy you are confessing.
But I confessed this a while ago. No, we did it about 8 months ago.
Oh, I remember. That was after the Obama people came.
Yes, that was a different one.
Yes,
Just trying to get
I remember.
An industry,
yeah, I remember.
Technology industry talk.
But it was quite interesting actually, because Amos gathered us, what was it, yesterday, and about innovation development in Ghana, things like that, and asked, this question about what do you think is wrong, and I said, well, of course it's a bit pretentious just coming in and saying what's wrong in Ghana. But to my mind, one of the big things here is that you do not have this interaction between industry and academia. Exactly my point. But I've been in Legon working there for quite a number of years. I've never ever seen anybody from industry apart from somebody coming out and fix a telephone. Nobody.
It's shocking, really. What we were trying to organize from the industry point of view is like to get 4 kind of key software owners, managers, or developers to come into a podium and talk a day in the life of a software developer in an auditorium and to take questions and to kind of go on a roadshow.
Well, you see, at the forum, I was going to say that in fact I did with Professor Jangman, whom I'm sure you remember, 3 rounds of research for the Association of African Universities on this very question. Actually, our most memorable interview was with Ravu Campbell, who used to be the country director for the World Bank here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we went to him, so our point was something like, how can we make university education more vocational, something like that. And he said, well, the question has to be actually turned upside down, whether the university is good enough for industry, or something along that line. But essentially his point was that, in Ghana the universities are far too up in the air and so on. I've left the universities, I don't need to defend it. But, in defense of the university, if you take computer science for instance, the truth of the matter is that the capacity is not there. From the economics of the situation, it's very, very difficult.
The capacity in what sense? In terms of the teaching capacity?
Teaching capacity.
Yeah.
From the economics of these things, of remuneration and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The computer science department at Legon struggles to get faculty.
Yeah.
But they can't compete with industry. So, the limited training that they are able to, and I suspect actually they are also bloody overstretched with teaching.
Yeah.
So that means very, very basic. Training people at a very, very basic level, and maybe afterwards they can get into industry.
But I think the universities can take advantage of the Ghanaians who have left Ghana, who are overseas, who have come back saying who are teachers. In fact, I was with
it's very common.
A Tufts teacher this week complaining about how they had come back offering their services to Legon and not being able to engage.
But also, we had the same situation in Tufts. It was really, I do appreciate it. I think it's a complicated thing, like you said, but also they are not really prepared to do it.
Oh, no, I left the university because of these frustrations, so I'm not defending the university. Kojo Bentinjo, sorry for mentioning his name, but he doesn't mind. As far as I'm concerned, the top telecom lawyer in this country. He wanted to do a PhD with us, but essentially it became obvious that it was going to be a bit difficult for him to find department to host him. And in point of fact, the only successful PhD we got out of Lagos. It was a hell. I went for his defense, and these old professors are in the sociology department. What does this have to do with sociology? And when they talk about sociology, they are talking most of the time bloody colonial anthropology.
Yeah.
So,
it's for us, if we're trying to hire software people right now, we totally understand that we need really to teach them, train them.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be lucky and we'll have somebody that's actually got relevant Java coding experience or whatever it is. Maybe somebody will have an insight into design and layout. Maybe somebody might even have a design in terms of how a product should function from a human point of view. But our understanding is that a cost to do business is really to develop that capacity and not to expect that the capacity exists. What, however, we can't do is really the approach to thinking and how you approach problem solving. And that is obviously a much longer and broader and generational kind of thing. And there are many brilliant people who, think aggressively and out of the box and all that sort of thing. But I think a lot of them do leave the country looking for richer pastures. I do think that the way that we're generating young people in this country is moving slowly in the right direction with some new universities and approaches emerging. But for us, it is definitely really a problem. And
to be honest with you, only yesterday I interviewed somebody from Ashesi University for a position. It's only one close case I've had. But to be damn honest with you, even these new universities, I would think that they need a broader view. You see, there's a way in which you can also get down to training technicians. Ashesi says it's a liberal university, but from what I'm following, I think it has a lot to do with that. Ideally, you see, when we were students, we used to take a compulsory course called African Studies.
Yeah.
Now, this was instituted by Kwame Nkrumah in the early 60s. I think that is long past. The compulsory course we need in Legon now is some kind of information technology, new media appreciation. That should be a compulsory course. And also, that would be at a level, because the problem
But don't get hooked up on the channel. ICT is really just a channel or a tool. It's to appreciate ICT or to learn ICT. I always find a very strange sort of concept. What you want to appreciate...
I always like you are trained as an anthropologist.
Yes,
and you are
what you want to appreciate
IT.
is the end product of ICT. It's not ICT in itself.
No. But the point is, you see, what I find in this country, the ordinary people, the powerful people, they are so scared of this technology.
Do you think so?
I really think so.
In what way? And practically in what way?
Like most top-level managers, so on and so forth, they think, this IT thing is something for the IT department. The reason why I'm saying that I would want that kind of appreciation as a compulsory in all our universities, actually. That by the time, and these are the people who become managers and so on and so forth. So that by the time they get there, they have a certain sense of it.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was saying that, the point is that our society is actually very, very heavily under-mediatized. Because if you are growing up and you are a reasonably smart person, I suspect even in Nairobi, you get a better sense of these things than in Accra. And definitely if you're in London or New York or Sydney or wherever. Because there's so much technology, even in the popular press, blah, blah, blah. But there are people making very, very, very important decisions in this country.
But it's a generational thing, isn't it? That happens anywhere where young people... But
the chasm here is much, much bigger.
Right.
We are talking about different things.
Right. But from my perspective now, everybody is on Facebook. Everybody is perfectly capable of using technology and does appreciate it. It's moved beyond just ICT for ICT's sake. Now they're connecting, they're gossiping, they're sharing and so forth. What you need is young people who have that knowledge coming into industry where the older managers who will never, you can't train an old dog, new trick really, who will sort of move along, and the young cheaters coming in who are applying that technology within a particular sector or practical kind of approach.
That's what I'm looking at. I call them digital natives.
Yes.
And they are not...
And we're really digital immigrants.
We are digital immigrants.
I'm not on Facebook.
And people like Kono, we are going to see, are called digital programs.
Yes.
But the point is...
And what before that? Yes.
The point is, yes, I'm not talking about... these young guys, and actually, if you get close to them, they themselves, they exaggerate their technical capability. And a lot, tomorrow I'm meeting bloggers with ATN tomorrow. Yeah. And I keep telling them, I think a lot of what they say is rubbish.
But But Amos, we, in 95, there was this incredibly creative moment in New York and California where the research-based information sharing networks were suddenly being applied to content and information for the masses. The beginning of a very creative period for .coms, not necessarily a very practical period or service-driven period, but